And again, answering are the Eagles.
Caddo now for three. That's two in a row for the freshman. The steal, the spin, behind the back, splitting the double team. Ryan Thomas with a jam. Back serve with authority for his first points of the night. That could be an SC top 10.
What's going on, guys? This is Screecher Report. This is E. Keezy, Elliot Cressy. I always used to go by that nickname.
People actually do call you that, so I can't even make fun and be like.
They used to call me when you were
cool.
When I made beats in high school and thought I could go somewhere with music, and now I just make it when I'm bored and actually put it in a podcast. So I guess that's kind of cool.
Right. Let's. I'm gonna plug you right now. All of our music in the podcast is created, developed, and nourished by our own Elliot Cressy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But no, it's Russell is on the mic.
I don't do anything. No, I just write and talk.
He writes, talks, acquires puppies. He acquired a new dog.
I did get a dog. It's
the age of getting a dog because nobody has friends because of quarantine.
Yep. Actually, we just moved, and so we've been looking, after we got settled in, we're looking for a dog basically daily from the Humane Society and other shelters around. And the supply is so much less than it usually is. It's usually I'm talking 100 dogs. It's 20 on a good day, 15 sometimes. But I guess that's good. I mean, people are adopting animals and hopefully treating them
There's
right.
been a lot of silver lining out of all of this.
Yeah.
I went to go buy a bicycle because, one, I need exercise, and two, I've been looking at motorcycles, but I'm I should probably get my bearings straight on a regular bike before I go.
Probably learn how to ride a non-motorized bicycle.
A gas-powered
death trap. No.
speed demon.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's no bikes. You go to Walmart, there's no bikes. There's only kids' bikes. I went to a bike shop. They didn't have what I wanted. I went to another bike shop. They had about two choices, and
Plus, you probably spend about $1,000.
One met my needs, and it was $600.
No.
And I don't ever remember when bikes were that expensive.
No.
And I think it's because now there's 25 different subcategories of bike. There's hybrid, cross trek, there's road, there's mountain
cruiser,
bike, whatever.
Yeah.
And needless to say, I got a bike and now I'm biking, and that's fun. But I don't know how we got on this. I think we're just silver lining.
Yep.
The silver lining is
there. You go, back on track.
Everybody, at least in my neighborhood, is walking their dog, running outside, doing cartwheels in the street. Going crazy.
Are you sure that's a good thing? Doing cartwheels in the middle of the street.
Just depends on who's doing it.
Yeah, I hear you.
But no, there's. And I got to look at that sometimes with all the negativity going on in the world. You got to look for the silver lining with some of the bad. But Well, tonight we had the special privilege of talking with Brett Comer. Everyone that's an FGCU fan knows who Brett Comer is.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast, you know who that is.
If you don't, you should probably just turn it off and go watch some of the YouTube highlights from 2012.
Right. We got a video up there of a cool dunk.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, our channel's got 500,000 views on that.
Yeah. Hey, go check out Screecher Report on YouTube.
I'm not going to say that I created it myself. I kind of just...
Well, it's okay because we're not monetizing it.
No. I kind of reposted it to get the FGCU name out there for the world to see, and it worked.
Some might say that was a seedling of Screecher Report.
But enough about our bullshit.
Our past endeavors.
It was really great talking with Brett, and he shared a lot of special moments about FGCU, his path after graduating, how he ended up at Dayton, and just some of the inside look at what he's doing today. And it was just overall great catching up with him, and enjoy the interview. So join us tonight is special guest Brett Comer, all-time leading assists at FGCU, 24th in NCAA, and second in scoring all-time at FGCU. Often referred to as the maestro, quarterback, founding father of Dunk City. How's it going, man?
It's going well. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty well.
Well.
As well as you can be in these times, but,
I hear you.
So, after graduating in 2015, life took you over to Indiana University at Pennsylvania, where you were a volunteer assistant coach. Is that right?
Yeah, so the whole road after I graduated got a little, there's no better word for it than weird. Obviously, I didn't want to go overseas, so I kind of tried to figure out what do I want to do. So I went the G League route, got drafted by Grand Rapids Drive in like the third round, I think the 7th-round G League draft. I went third round to Grand Rapids. I went for training camp, and, one of my biggest mistakes when I played college basketball is I didn't take care of my body too well. So I went up to Grand Rapids, kind of blew out my knee. I couldn't really participate in the last couple of days. So I got cut. And then after that, I was like, man, you know what? I'm burnt out on working out. I know it sounds really bad. I'm burnt out on working out and working on my game. When I know when I'm done playing, I want to coach anyways. Why not try to get to coaching? So I was fortunate enough that Joey Cantens was on staff at IUP, Indiana, Pennsylvania. And, he sold me on, hey, you come live and sleep on my couch for a year.
Sweet deal.
And you can, help and kind of be almost as a third assistant and kind of just learn the business with your, just getting into it right away. So I took him up on that and slept on his couch for a season at IUP.
Awesome. I'm sure that was a good experience.
Oh, it was awesome. It made you kind of realize what the real world is like, as a college athlete. You don't you think you understand the real world until you actually have to work a 9 to 5, which I know that sounds crazy, 9 to 5, because it's really a 7 to 9, but just kind of working and kind of understanding what the coaching business is. And obviously, I was lucky enough to join Joey at one of the best, probably D2 programs in the country, which Joe Lombardi still coaches, and I think he wins the league every year. So, it was a great experience just to kind of learn and kind of be with somebody also that, I kind of played for. Joey was the Dobo our first 2 or 3 years. So it was somebody I was familiar with, which also helped and kind of just being able to learn from him a little bit.
Gotcha. So after your stint at IUP, I remember reading that you were stepping away from basketball for a bit to finish up your schooling, and then how did that go from transitioning to that to how did you end up at Dayton, and what was that experience like?
So to be really honest, like after that Division II year, like I loved coaching, but I didn't really know how to go about getting into it. So I kind of went into a master's program. I was like, you know what, I'm going to step away from basketball. So I stepped away for about a month and a half, and then I had the opportunity to play for an ABA team. I didn't really want to do it, but there's some coaches. The coach who ran it was an assistant at Iona, and we played against them almost every year at Florida Gulf Coast. So I was familiar with them. So I played a couple games. My knee still wasn't good enough to kind of play. So I actually jumped on the coaching staff for the tail end of the season, went from there, and then actually was fortunate enough that I called Michael Fly and was like, hey, I need to get back into this business. Who can you reach out to? What can you get for me? And luckily I ended up in the position where I am now.
Awesome. So then this past year, the Dayton squad had arguably one of the best seasons in the history of the school. And then everyone was shocked by the news on, I think, March 12th when sports started shutting down. You had all of March Madness, shut down. And the original plan was to continue games without fans. And I can't imagine how heartbreaking that was for you, but even more so for the guys. Can you take us through firsthand experience what that was like and how the guys are coping, or maybe they haven't coped with it yet?
So it was interesting because obviously there was some talks about COVID before we left our conference tournament. Our conference tournament is hosted at the Brooklyn Nets facilities. We play at their court in Brooklyn. So there was some talks about COVID. It wasn't extremely serious at the time, I would say. So we flew up to Brooklyn. We had a double bye since we were the 1 seed. We kind of treated everything as normal. And then the day before our game, it's UMass versus I think it's VCU. Our head coach, Coach Grant, and some of the assistants go to watch the game for scouting purposes, and we get the call that, hey, your conference tournament's over. I'm like, oh man. And even to backtrack a little bit, the night before is when Rudy Gobert tested positive. So we're like, he tested positive, they suspend the game, and the next day they go scout, and that was canceled. So we're sitting there like, man, okay, they canceled the Dayton tournament. There's no way they canceled an NCAA tournament just due to, there's no better way to put it, but the money purposes. The amount of money the NCAA makes off the NCAA tournament, they're not canceling that. So we get on our flight back the next morning to fly back to Dayton, and boom, I think it was a Twitter post. Hey, the NCAA tournament's canceling, and we're all sitting there like, it was the quietest plane ride I've ever been a part of. And then we get back to campus and we meet, and I think as a whole, I've never seen that many grown men and college athletes cry together at the same time, just realizing like everything special we accomplished during the year. We lost, I think it was like 3 or 4 games on the year, went 20 in a row, undefeated in conference play, and it's just over like that. It was heartbreaking seeing our seniors and then a guy like Obi Toppin, who's going to be a lottery pick, never get to play in an NCAA tournament, when everybody bought in and worked for basically year 3, which it was for Coach Grant to kind of get to this point. It was heartbreaking for our staff and players.
Yeah, man. I mean, and even just relating it back to us as fans, obviously just having that connection with you, with an FGCU legend at Dayton, Dayton becomes sort of an FGCU fans secondary team. Obviously, we weren't going to go to the tournament, so it was like, all right, we need Dayton to go, and you guys were looking so good. So, from an athlete perspective, a coach perspective, a fan perspective, it was just bad. But and even going along that, it's there were Cinderellas this year that didn't become Cinderellas because it wasn't played, and imagine if this happened in 2012, 2013 season, and then there was no Dunk City. It's just crazy what potentially didn't happen that would have happened. But
and I think for me, that's why it was. I'm not gonna say it hurt me the most, because obviously we had players here, other staff members that have done special things. But for me, because I realize and understand what one NCAA tournament can do for your playing career afterward, and just life as a whole. Some of our guys obviously were planning on being really good next year and playing in an NCAA tournament, but at the end of the day, you never know what's going to happen. And that was there's no argument. We were a 1 or 2 seed in that NCAA tournament. So just having that taken away from us due to a virus, which I understand. I get you have to look out for the safety of student athletes, staff. I understand why they canceled it, but just seeing what an opportunity like that does to guys, it sucks, because we had a lot of transfers, we had a lot of younger guys who kind of built up to this year, and you don't know if you ever will go back. Obviously, I think I've talked to Fly about this too. In the A10, you get more than one team, which helps, but so some of these schools, you have to win your conference tournament to get in. And you win your conference tournament, some of them have, and it's like, oh, well, congrats, you won your conference tournament, but you're done. It's heartbreaking for, me, our staff, our players, along with, every school around the country.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Like you said, you understand why it's done, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. You mentioned Obi Toppin. Obviously, he's a stud. And what's it like working with a guy, being around a guy who's at that level and just, maybe a top 10 pick and coming up, and he looks like Stoudemire to me, maybe Al Horford. What do you see in him? What's it like being around a guy? Where does he compare kind of with guys you've been around before?
So he is amazing to work with, and the fact, coming to Dayton, he wasn't highly recruited. He didn't play his freshman year. He had a red shirt. He's kind of an under the radar guy, right? Then his sophomore year, he made all conference first team. He didn't start the first probably 6 games of the season. Was still the same kid that he is today. And the fact is, he's a kid that loves to come in the office and just talk. He's a kid that his teammates love to be around. He's a goofy type of kid. And then, you see him go from academic redshirt, not many scholarship offers, to a first team, to the National Player of the Year by everybody. It was awesome to see a kid like that and be able to work with a kid like that didn't change who he was, no matter how good of a basketball player he became, which I think that's the most special thing about guys and why they make it, is because he was still the same goofy kid that just loved to be around people and talk to people, no matter who they were, and didn't treat anybody differently, even though he was, there's no argument to me at least, the best player in college basketball.
Wow.
Me and him have a really, really, really good relationship. I talked to him today, actually. So he's going to be, no doubt about it, a lottery pick. I think he could even go top 5. So I'm nothing but happy for him. But also, like kind of we hit on earlier, it's sad to see him not playing into the tournament, because at the end of the day, us working with him every day and seeing how special that he is, the only thing that into a tournament could have done was help him, because he's that special of a player and as a person.
Yeah, that's incredible, and wish the best of luck to him in the NBA draft, and hopefully he can make some memories in the NBA and continue on. So jumping to FGCU basketball, what's it like being removed from the university now for, I guess it would be 5 years? I mean, how's your connections with FGCU staff, Coach Michael Fly, any of the old players, your old teammates, maybe some current players? How's that going?
So I'm not gonna lie, you guys made me feel really old when you said it's been 5 years.
We feel it too, man.
Time, but it doesn't feel like 5 years.
No,
yeah,
we're in the same boat.
At all. So, I still talk to Fly probably once or twice a week. I talk to Joey weekly. I talk to Infield occasionally. Marty Richter, I talk to him probably still weekly. Joe Dooley, I talk to him weekly as well. Like, I talk to all that coaching staff still a lot. I think a lot of it has to do with, obviously, we did something really special together. But at the same time, being in this business now, I kind of understand why maybe Infield did things the way he did, or why Dooley did things the way he did. You get a better understanding for, I was hard on you then because of this. I was trying to build a program then because of this. So I take the player side out of it in a way with them, because I understand and I appreciate all the lessons they kind of taught me as a kid, to the adult I am now. So the growing up process with them was awesome, and I still talk to them all the time. Players, I still talk to Sherwood here and there, Bernard, Chase, like we still all message here and there. We actually thought about putting a TBT team together for this year. Obviously, this was before all the COVID stuff, which would have been awesome to do to get everybody kind of reunited and back together. It didn't work out, so we still talk a lot. There's about 11 or 12 of us that still communicate and try to put a team together, but no, I appreciate my time there. I still talk to a little bit here and there. Caleb Cato, actually, just try to help him with becoming a leader and becoming the player that, he's a really good player. He can become special. But I still watch all the games. I still communicate with Fly all the time, and I think next year's going to be a good year for him.
Cool, man. I mean, it's nice to keep in touch with all the old friends. I mean, don't tease us now with that team. Like, now we all want to see that when all this gets back to normal. But you mentioned you talk with Coach Fly a lot. You talk with Coach Dooley. You talk with Coach Enfield. I mean, now that you're kind of getting into the coaching side of things, are you what do you think your style is kind of coming? Where do you pull from? Obviously, all of them, but you got pretty different styles between a guy like Dooley and a guy like Enfield. What do you kind of pull from?
So to be honest with you guys, I pull from everybody. So obviously there's things I was able to learn from Enfield and style of play from him. And then, obviously the same from Dooley with, disciplinary wise and kind of the way he played. From every coach that I played for, or even working for Coach Grant, who's unbelievable, there's things you like, there's things you don't like. So it's just kind of remembering the things you like, things you don't like, and just kind of making it your own way. So I've been very fortunate enough to, be able to play for a guy like Enfield, be able to play for a guy like Dooley, who are big time coaches, play for Coach Grant, who was National Coach of the Year, I think, by everybody, the same people that voted for Obi. Coach Grant got every Coach of the Year award. So I've been very fortunate enough to learn, and be able to play for really, really, really good coaches that, all I can do is benefit from that. So like I said, I've been very lucky, and, hopefully one day I can be in Coach Grant's shoes or Dooley or infield or fly shoes and be able to run my own program and be able to play fast and use all the lessons I've learned and taught from them and kind of just be able to translate it to my guys.
And speaking of, the coaching aspect of things, head coach Michael Fly, he's got a very pivotal year 3 upcoming. And as we talked with Dana Caldwell on the last podcast, us fans, the whole birth of Dunk City and the fans since that era have been spoiled with, 20-win seasons and winning, and we haven't, had to go through a rebuild process like we are now. And it's tough, and like I said, we're spoiled. So what's that like? I know you kind of experienced a little bit of a rebuild when Dooley entered the scene, but what's that like from your experience, and how do you see that going into year 3?
So I think this is the biggest thing that I've told everybody that I've ever talked about Florida growth with basketball with or podcasts or whatever it may be. Everybody needs to calm down. like that's the best way to put it, and that's sad because what we did with infield was special, and let's be honest, there's only one team in the program to ever do it, and that was us as a 15 seed. You know what I mean? Like, there's not many programs that just turn Division I, go to NCAA tournament, and then win games in the tournament. That's unheard of.
Right, in your second year of eligibility.
Correct. Second year of eligibility with a second-year head coach. Like, there was a lot of unnormal things that happened there that year. And then, we bring in Dooley, and, it's a change for myself, Bernard, Chase, Eric McKnight, because it's a different coaching style. But, Dooley won a lot as well because he had a lot of returning pieces and able to recruit really well. My thing with Fly is, most programs are given 3 or 4 years to get built, and this is the first time it's really had to be built. Like, for us, even at Dayton, this is we just finished year 3. Like, we did something that was extremely special. You got to give a guy at least 3 or 4 years to develop and make the program his own. Like, Dooley's was obviously different because he had a junior and me, a junior, and Bernard, a senior, and Chase. Like, there were some different things there. But Fly, he had a whole bunch of different players. Some he liked, some he didn't like. He feels very comfortable with the guys returning right now, and he really, really likes the kids he has coming in a lot. So to say that this is the year that he has to win, I think that's also a little unfair just due to everything going on in the world right now. Like, you got to think in a normal, typical year, we're starting workouts here soon. We're learning offenses. We're implementing offenses. We're implementing defense. We don't know when that's going to happen. So to say that, like, he has to win this year or he's out, I don't know if that's necessarily fair, because if you look around this year, not too many guys got fired that maybe should have due to the coronavirus. You know what I mean? So I think he has a good roster that he likes. I think he's going to implement some good things offensively and defensively, but to say this is the make or break year for him, I don't think that's fair just due to COVID-19 and everything going on.
Sure. And I mean, I've always been of the belief that you just got to get better. It's not like you got to get to the peak of the mountain every time. And a lot of people, this past year, 10 wins, a lot of people sort of equated that to your freshman year team. Obviously, you guys kind of caught fire at the end there, but just so many close games. And, this team, there were so many close games, a lot of them just, one bad decision at the end of a game or whatever it is, just is the difference between, going into the conference tournament with a really good record versus, an average one. And so, I mean, that's really what, at least me personally, is looking for going into next year. It's his second recruiting class and, just kind of building off of that. So, yeah, speaking of new guys coming in, we got a freshman coming in, point guard, Luis Rolón, who's getting a lot of comparisons to you just based on style of play. He's pass first, doesn't necessarily have a shot yet, but I mean, there's 4 years to develop that. And, you obviously developed a pretty good shot by the end of your career. But, we're really excited about the incoming class. And anytime we get somebody who's being compared to you, that's exciting. So,
Yeah, you know what? Fly's actually talked to me a lot about him, just in the fact that he is similar to me. I know he loves the London kid. He loves the other kid from the other stretch shooter that he has coming in. Like, sure. He loves his class coming in. Even the kid from Ocoee, like, he talks to me all the time about him. But, you know, he really does like that point guard a lot, and the fact that he is a play-making point guard, which, call me crazy, I think a lot of programs are kind of going away from. You know, a lot of people are going for a shooting point guard, a scoring point guard in a way, even though I love the pass-first point guard because I think you need somebody like that to run the team. So, you know, hopefully, you know, the kid develops and he becomes a really good player in person, and it works well for Fly. But, you know, he's really excited about that whole class coming in and him. So.
Yeah, you know, recently Ken Kavanaugh went on the radio and talked about the new Hall of Fame for FGCU athletics, and it was a unanimous decision that, you know, the Sweet 16 squad was the first, you know, team/members to be recognized, and that's a pretty awesome honor to be the first of a university to be in the Hall of Fame like that. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
No, I mean, like you guys said, it is awesome. I think, you know, I don't mean this in any type of way towards us. It's well deserved in a way because, you know, I think we were able to help put FGCU kind of on the map.
You don't need to be modest. We got an SB out of that.
No, trust me. I get that all the time from our staff. So yeah, the SB was great. You know, like I said, like, you know, I think that it's well deserved from, you know, not just myself, but the staff and the players, you know, kind of all the hard work and time we put into it. I'm looking forward to them obviously adding, you know, some women's basketball players, Chris Sale, all that. Like, I think obviously all of them need to be included as well. But, you know, like for us, you know, it's well deserved and we appreciate it as a whole. I'm hoping to be able to come down there for it. Obviously it depends on our schedule, but I've talked to Enfield. I've talked to Fly, you know, we're trying to figure out a way to maybe come down there, but, no, we appreciate it as a team, and we were able to accomplish that year was special. So it's just an awesome honor.
That was going to be my follow-up question to see if you were going to make it to that game. I know logistically it might be hard and difficult, but it would be really cool if we could get most of that team back and do like a pregame scrimmage, but I know that's thinking too high.
I don't know about a scrimmage because I don't think I could do it anymore. But, you know, I'd love to be down there and spend some time with my guys and the staff. Obviously, the main thing for me, and I think a lot of our guys, is me. Obviously, with our schedule, I don't know when we'll be playing. Luckily, I work for a guy like Coach Grant, who's very understanding of stuff like that and kind of what an honor like that is. So he'd be open to it if we don't have a game. But our other guys, as long as they're not playing, I can imagine a lot of them will be there. But it'd be great to be able to have everybody kind of in the same room and just be able to be around each other and just kind of, you know, remember something that was very special to us as a whole.
For sure. Do you have any favorite moments of your time at FGCU that we may not know of or people may not know of, that kind of your favorite moments from behind the scenes?
That's a good. You know what? After all the years of talking about this, no one's actually ever asked me that, which is interesting.
Well, you heard it here first on Screecher Report.
So I think one of my favorite moments, which meant the most to me, which I don't think a lot of people know about, I don't think I've ever even really talked about, is my sophomore year, which was the 2013 season, 2012-2013 season. Is after I think we beat Georgetown. You know, I got a lot of pub about my dad passing away, but a lot of people didn't realize the same thing happened with Eric McKnight. His dad passed away. So after that game, he came up to me and he hugged the shit out of me and goes, you know, my dad passed too. This is, you know, and kind of we just shared a moment together about our dad's passing and wishing that they were here to be able to kind of see what we did. So that's one moment that will always be close to my heart. You know, another one would be after my freshman year, you know, we played Belmont in that championship. We probably had no business being in that championship, but we got hot at the right time. You know, we were winning that first half, but, you know, they kind of changed some things defensively, and we really struggled that second half. But I remember after that game, I'm not sure if it was Coach Enfield or who it was, but they made us stand kind of behind the bench and watch Belmont celebrate. And I always remember standing there next to Bernard and Sherwood and looking at both of them saying, we're not going to feel like this again. You know, and that next year we ended up winning a conference championship at Mercer and doing what we did in the tournament. So I think those two are really special to me, and kind of just moments that I'll always remember kind of for the rest of my life, and just kind of how, you know, just seeing the people side of it. Like, we could talk about basketball, we talk about the lobs, we could talk about all that, but I think it's more the relationships and the people around us that kind of are more fond and moments to me.
Always. I mean, that's an example of a tough love as a motivator, and just a special moment with a teammate. You can't really beat that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well,
I think that's why we were so good in a way, you know, that year, is because we really got along as a team. Like, we did everything together. We all lived in one building. We all hung out together. We all went and did whatever we did together, right? But then when we would go to practice or in a game, if somebody wasn't doing what they're supposed to do, or lack of effort, or just, you know, making bad decision plays, we weren't afraid to call each other out because we were so close, which I'm not sure it's like that as much anymore at most programs. So, me personally, I think that's why that team was so special, because we all loved each other to death, but we were so quick. If you make a mistake, hey man, you got to fix that. And we didn't take it as a personal attack. You know what I mean? Like, we were quick to, you're right, let's fix this, let's get better, let's do this as a unit, because we actually really cared about, one, our teammates, our staff, but we cared about the university. I think that was a huge thing. We actually cared about Florida Gulf because we cared about putting our basketball program on the map and being really good. And I think that's why, you know, we had the successes we had, because we cared about the school.
Wow, that's awesome. It's cool to hear that side of the story. You never really think about that until you hear it firsthand experience. So we appreciate that insight.
Yep.
That's pretty much all the questions we have for you tonight. You know, looking forward to seeing you whenever you make a return to Fort Myers. Hopefully it's at the USC game. That's going to be really cool to have USC in the Alico Arena.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's actually big time. They were able to pull that off. That was huge.
Be really cool. Do you have any other comments or things to add for anything this upcoming season? Anything else?
No, I think just as a whole, you know, I think even you guys and the people that really care about Florida Gulf Coast basketball as a whole, like, you know, I'm really excited to see what next year brings. You know, obviously, why, like we talked about earlier, he's really excited about his staff. He has some really good returning players, and Caleb Catto, who has a chance to be really special, you know, and be a good leader for the team. Like, I'm just really looking forward and excited to seeing, you know, what's next for them and this team, and seeing, you know, them kind of build off the history and success that we've done before, and kind of just keep it rolling. I think that, you know, as unfair as it may be to Fly, you know, next year is a good year for him with all of his players, and even if not, you know, the next year, you know, I'm really looking forward to them, you know, winning some games and doing things the right way, and I think he's doing a heck of a job for kind of what he was left with. So I'm really looking forward to watching them next season, just like you guys are. So, and I really appreciate, you know, everybody listening and my time at Florida Gulf Coast. I don't really hit on that too much, but I'm really appreciative and I love my time at Florida Gulf Coast and all the people around, and just appreciate them listening.
For sure, it can only go up from here, and it's just going to be exciting to watch it continue to grow. You know, just like the stock market rises, it always goes up and down, up and down. You can't go 25 wins a season every single year. So
this ain't a business podcast, man.
Well, I'm recently getting into stocks. You know, unfortunately, with every crisis, there comes a chance to buy some stocks and make some money. So I'm getting into it. But no, we appreciate your time, Brett, and hope to chat again soon.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and stay safe, and, you know, hope all is well with you guys and moving forward.
All right, best of luck to you, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brett.
Right, have a good one.
Bye.
See you.
Thanks again to Brett for joining us tonight. It was awesome to catch up with you and chat, and we appreciate your time. That's all we have on this episode, and hopefully we'll have another podcast in the near future. I know Russell's got some articles cooking up for the off season, some speculation, and we'll chat about that on the next one, and be on the lookout for it on Twitter and Instagram, and no one goes on Facebook, so just
if you're on there, look us up, but
right.
if you're not.
Thanks, guys. Go Eagles.